One of the most important parts about investing is that as you diversify and get more comfortable with the investment market, you start to branch out to other investments to help build more wealth. In this video, I'm going to break down my very first house flip. Hey, what's going on? This is Maoli Vodi with Financially Present, your one-stop shop for financial and investment education. And in this video, I'm just going to break down my very first house flip. No, I did not invest with Cesar Pena and DJ Envy. That whole Ponzi scheme that's been going on and is under fire right now. Thankfully, I did not invest with them. I invested with a more trustworthy business, and I can assure you my experiences as a stockbroker and investment consultant and in studying the investment industry, it helped me have an idea how to approach flipping a house. You see, for me personally, I don't want to go through the headache of having to buy a home and source the contractors and keep an eye on them and make sure that they have everything according to the deadline and be able to deliver and then flip the house and sell it. I worked with a company that had already been doing that. And I'm going to break down in this video exactly how we were able to vet that and be comfortable with this investment, because ultimately my primary investments are the stock market. So I invest in stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, and options as well. And I feel way more comfortable with that, surprisingly, than with flipping a home. And yes, I am a homeowner, but at the same time too, there's a lot of headache that comes with homes, and I don't want to have to worry about it when it comes to flipping. I have other investments that are less of a headache. So let's break down those things. But before I do that, let me just tell you up front what it was all about. So this is in April 2021. Essentially, we were able to be part of what we call a syndicate to invest in the flip of a home. And this home was based out of the DC metro area where I live. And I was able to be very comfortable with this investment transaction. So we essentially had money that was sitting and waiting, and we decided to invest that. So $10,000 was used to be part of this flip, and the investment itself is a promissory note. And basically just means that we're putting this much in an investment, we're expecting this much yield by this time. So in April 2021, the contract stated that we would get 12% by a year from that date, so April 2022, or sooner if the house is sold earlier, right? So pretty straightforward. Let's break down some of the key things that I had to look through and vet to make sure that this is something that me and my wife were actually comfortable doing. First things first, I had to know the person. For this to be my very first house flip, and I wasn't even flipping it, I was just putting up money as a silent partner, basically. I had to know the person. And this person, I actually worked with them. I was able to see them in action. I was a good judge of character. I would like to say that I still am. But this person has a great personality. A lot of people know them. And I was able to see them work in different capacities, meaning I've seen them work at different jobs and even worked alongside them. And then just knowing them, knowing I can search them and look them up, and they were local to my area, that gave me a little bit more comfortability. So this is someone I had lunch with and can talk to during work or even after work hours. And those are some of the things that really helped. Number two, I had someone else look over the contract. Again, this investment came in the form of a promissory note. And basically it states everything with a few lines of legalese, essentially. So it's gonna speak like a lawyer, basically. And I felt comfortable enough, but something told me just at least have another pair of eyes look at the contract. And that's what I always recommend people should do. If you are new to an investment and aren't sure, you need to make sure you have someone else look at the paperwork. They might see a typo, they might see something that just doesn't line up right, something that's technically against the law or not really what's true. So you really need to make sure that you have a second pair of eyes. And it wasn't just only my wife that I had look at it, but I had a friend and then another friend look at it. And that also helped give me a little bit more comfortability with the investment. Number three, so I had to mitigate my risk. And what I mean by mitigate is I wasn't banking on the whole farm. essentially I didn't use everything that was available to me. I just only used a portion of the money that we had sitting aside. So 10,000. And that, to me, that's still a lot of money, but at the same time too, it was not going to destroy the financial infrastructure of our lives if something were to happen. Okay, so we had to make sure that our risk is being mitigated by the amount we're investing. And there were options to invest more, but I said, hey, well, this is the first one, I'll stick with the 10,000. So that's what we went with. And number 4, I went and saw the property myself. Some people might think this is a little extreme. I don't, and I actually encourage it. If you know you want to do a flip or participate in one, do something local first. Something that you know the area, and something you know you can visit and make sure that it's actually being worked on. So, of course, the contract itself had the address, and there's nothing that stops me from driving up to the property and looking at the permit on the door of the building, taking pictures. Like, these are all things that I actually went and did with this first house flip, because as an investor, you have to protect your investment. And I had to do that and make sure I was documenting things along the way to understand that, hey, things are actually being done. And on top of that, he was very, very communicative about what was going on with the flip anyways. They sent me regular text messages telling me, hey, this is what's going on, or this was delayed, or hey, we just got the flooring installed, and all of these good things that help you understand that there's progress with the investment itself. But along the way, I was able to physically look at the property, take pictures and all those good things. And then when it was finally listed for sale, I was looking on Redfin and Zillow and all of these different websites to see that I'm getting the actual data of when it is under contract or if it officially sold. That way, when the funds are available, I'm readily available to collect the check. So, long story short, the flip was completed in 6 months. So within 6 months, our 10,000 turned into $11,200 basically. And it was a great experience, great enough for us to actually participate in another flip with this company. And that worked out pretty well, except the market started to change, okay? And interest rates started creeping up because of the Federal Reserve. And it took a little bit longer for the property to sell, the second property. So in this case, it actually took over a year and the property still hadn't sold. But because the contract was in place, and this is an honest person we're working with, they gave us an option to just take our money or redeem our promissory note and then proceed and go on our way. Another option was to extend and gain more money by waiting until the property actually sold. But with my comfortability level, I said, hey, well, it's been a year, second property hasn't sold. Even though this is one of their many flips, the second property I invested in with them didn't sell after a year. And there were a whole bunch of bumps along the way. But ultimately, I said, well, with the Fed increasing rates, I don't foresee it being easier to sell. So I said, I'll take the check, and we went from there, basically. But it was being able to understand all of the facets of an investment like this, and technically it's an unregistered investment. I learned from my days as a stockbroker that unregistered investments, technically, you're not covered by any type of regulatory body. It just has to state in the contract that you are of someone with the right liquidity, the right assets, and the right net worth to be able to involve yourself in this type of investment. Because if you don't have that in place, then you could be risking money that you don't have, basically. So it's either you meet the qualifications by financial perspectives, or you have a subject matter expertise that would allow you to be called an accredited investor. And with that, and that knowledge of how these things work, it made me a little bit more comfortable with making these investments. But again, recap, I went and invested in the first flip, and that was perfectly fine. Then our second flip with them, it worked out fine as well, except the property didn't sell as fast, so we decided to redeem our position. And for me, that's good enough. I'm more comfortable with the investment markets than I am with having to worry about a flip in this regard. So What questions or what things would you do to make sure that you are ready for a house flip? You don't want a situation like what's going on with the whole situation, the Ponzi scheme that's allegedly occurring with Cesar Pina. I'd love to know in the comments below. If you like this video, I want you to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the page, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on future content. And until next time, stay present.